Hello and welcome to the first of Kanvic Consulting strategic dialogues on navigating the corona crisis. My name is Alexander Bartz and I will be your host for this discussion. Today I'm joined by Deepak Sharma, co-founder and director of strategy at Kanvic Consulting, with whom I'll be discussing the strategic implications of the pandemic on Indian businesses. Deepak and his team have published a couple of very insightful pieces on the pandemic, including a powerful framework that helps its clients and the wider business community deal with everything that is coming up right now. Thank you very much, Deepak, for joining us today.
Thank you, Alex. It's great to be here. I am really looking forward to our conversation.
So let's start with the crisis itself. How is it different from any other crisis we've experienced in the past?
This crisis is different in three important ways, Alex. First, it is a humanitarian crisis. So we have a duty to take care of our employees and their families, as well as supporting the wider communities in which we work. Second, if you look at the scale and scope of this crisis, this is not something what we have seen in the recent past. And as a result, leaders who are in the driving seat today have very few reference points to guide them. And finally, there is a lot of uncertainty about how this is going to evolve in coming weeks and months.
I think this sums up the feeling of running a business very well right now. In the framework you developed, you mentioned three distinct time horizons that leaders must think of when making decisions. What are your key takeaways from this?
As the lockdown was announced, businesses went into crisis management mode. So they first acted on ensuring safety of their employees and customers, then set up work from home to ensure business continuity. And as the lockdown is getting relaxed now, the focus has shifted going back to work. But given the open-ended nature of this crisis, what we realize that leaders need to break down the COVID-19 challenge into three horizons to manage and navigate through this crisis effectively. First, the leaders need to manage the present, and the key here is to act. And we have seen a number of actions during the period of lockdown. The second horizon is the next few weeks and quarters, what we call crossing the chasm. During this period, companies will see a gradual return to normalcy, but the virus will still persist. And to manage during this period, the imperative is to adapt. Finally, there will be a post-COVID world when we have got some form of vaccine or treatment. And at that point of time, leaders will need to take a new role to advance in the change world. So by thinking along these act, adapt, and advance time horizons, business leaders can group hundreds of issues, information points, and ideas into three buckets, which they can then start prioritizing and tackling.
So given the turmoil that is on everybody's mind, it seems tremendously hard to focus on anything that is beyond now, right? In the next month and years ahead. What's your understanding of prioritizing between these three horizons?
That's a really important point, Alex. When thinking about these three time horizons, it's important to see them as interlinked rather than sequential. What is also required is that we can oscillate between the lockdown and the back to work if the pandemic rebounds. Therefore, it is important to start addressing all of these three horizons at the same time, and that means today. Certainly, the resource allocation will shift as we move through the crisis. So, at the moment, there might be a need to allocate 60% resources to managing the present, 30% to crossing the chasm, and 10% to post-COVID world. But we need to commit these dedicated resources to work on each of these three time frames.
Thank you very much, Deepak, for explaining this simple yet powerful framework and providing real urgency into start acting today. In the coming weeks, we, with these discussions, will be digging deeper into how leaders can act right in order to survive and strive now, next, and in the post-COVID world, with strategic insights and practical guidance for these extraordinary times. Thank you very much, and see you again very soon.